يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا. أما بعد فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. وقال جل وعلا في مقام آخر وإن خفتم شقاق بينهما فابعثوا حكما من أهله وحكما من أهلها إلى آخر الآية. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise be to Allah Azza wa Jal that He created us as human beings. Not just us as human beings, also our spouses as human beings. That's the commentary of the ayah that I recited. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Ar-Rum, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, and amongst the signs of Allah Azza wa Jal is that أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا, that He created your spouses from your own species. Imagine for a moment if we did not have our spouses as human beings. If they were from either the creation of jinns or for that matter the creation of the animals. Imagine what kind of animosity, enmity, hatred that we would have between us. And Allah Azza wa Jal, that's why says that He has created us and as well as our spouses from the same species. Alhamdulillah. That's why thanks be to, all praise be to Allah Azza wa Jal. And special peace, mercy and blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal be on Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who undoubtedly is the best man, not just the man in terms of the man in the universe, also a man of his wives. Alhamdulillah. He has set so many supreme examples for all of us to follow in his footsteps. That's why I said peace, mercy and blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal be on Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In today's circumstances, we have a lot of problems between spouses, between the husband of the family and the wife of the family. And I'm deliberately using the term the husband of the family and the wife of the family, because at times these roles change. And unfortunately these roles change. Allah Azza wa Jal has said in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. Allah Azza wa Jal created our spouses from the very same species. Because we seek pleasure. So we could seek pleasure in our spouses. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. And Allah Azza wa Jal further says, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. That Allah Azza wa Jal created, instilled in the hearts of each one of us, both spouses, mawaddah, affection for each other, wa rahmah, and mercy for each other. And that's why Allah Azza wa Jal says that in these are the ayat, are the signs of Allah Azza wa Jal for anyone that would like to have a sane mind, anyone that wants to think, anyone that wants to ponder. And like I said a little while ago, today's marriages seem to have a lot of problems. The reason is one of those things that I said, that one tries to play the role of the husband and the other tries to play the role of the wife. Whereas Allah Azza wa Jal and Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the Quran and the Hadith, categorically very clear guidelines, very clear instructions are given to both the genders. and we tend to own up additional responsibilities, that's when our marriages tend to fall apart. That's the biggest problem that we have. We tend to take some of the additional burdens, and in most cases what happens is the wife of the marriage tends to take additional burden. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wasallam categorically said it, kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi wa rajulu ra'in fi ahlihi wa mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi wal mar'atu ra'iyatun fi bayti zawjiha wa mas'ulun an ra'iyatiha. Clear, very clear in black and white, that man has been given the responsibility of, or man should I say, is the shepherd of the family. He is going to be questioned about his wife and about the well-being, about the well-upbringing of his children. Whereas Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, وَالْمَرْأَةُ رَاعِيَةٌ فِي بَيْتِ زَوْجِهَا. Man has not been given this responsibility. Woman has been given this responsibility of taking care of the household. And what woman in general, in modern day terminologies does, is that she does the household chores as well as she goes out, picks up a job outside, does that 8 to 5 job or 9 to 5 job and gets back home, and then once again does the extra job at home. So this is where the problem lies. And as a result of these problems, and because of a lot of other things, we end up saying that, look, my marriage is not compatible with my wife, or my marriage is not compatible with my husband. Imagine a Muslim saying this about another Muslim. I understand, or you also would understand, if a man says that I have incompatibility issues with my wife because my wife is a Christian, my wife is a Hindu, my wife is a Buddha. If you had such problems and then you had said that yes, I have incompatibility issues, then yes, you would understand it. But both the people worship the very same Lord, alhamdulillah. Both the people extract rules from the very same book, Al-Quran. Both have the very same objective. And we know what the objective is. Yet we see so pitiful the situation is that yet we say that no, my marriage is not compatible. I don't think I'm going to remain married to this particular lady or this particular man. And then we try, ensuring that the marriage doesn't last, and we hook on with another marriage. Imagine this now, for example. If you were to take a flight from here to Melbourne, about 12 hours roughly is a journey. If you take a flight from here to Melbourne, and if you are asked to travel with one of your friends, and you both have, say, an interview or an important business meeting there in Melbourne, and the outcome of the meeting actually also depends, not solely depends, also largely depends, or even if it is to just a little extent, it depends, that the outcome of the meeting will be based on how you treat your friend throughout the journey. How many of us, while we are traveling with that friend, having clear pictures that yes, if I treat well this friend of mine, that's my co-passenger, my friend who's doing the same journey with me, both the partners, both the people feel the same thing, and they both have the goal that, look, my objective is to safely get down in Melbourne, get the business deal done and come back. How many of us, keeping this in mind, would try to abort boarding that flight? None of us would. Oh, it's a matter of just about 12 hours. Even if I have some disagreement with this man, I just have to bear with him for the next 12 hours after I have boarded the flight. And half the time I could fall asleep, which means half the time I'd mind my own business, and the other half the time I may have to listen to him, or I may have to talk to him. But the eternal journey for me, the most important thing for me, is to get down in Melbourne, have the interview cracked, or at least have that business deal done. Marriage is even more important than this. Because the objective of each one of us Muslims is to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And if we get lost, if we are lost in trying to figure out what my personal gains are, what your personal gains are, you don't come home on time, you don't prepare food well, you don't take care of your children well, you don't really make a lot of earnings, look at the other person that's making so much money. If we keep looking at these personal gains, then yes, of course, we will lose the biggest objective that we have. And any Muslim on any given day would say this, that my biggest objective is only to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And I will have to tolerate this. At times, yes, I will have to tolerate this. And if you can refocus, revisit the goal, the objective that I am here in this world to please Allah Azza wa Jal, then of course my marriage is going to be blossoming. And my marriage is not going to fall apart. Because this is just a co-passenger that I have with me, even if it is the ugliest of the kinds of people that I'm living with. I don't have to live with them in the hereafter if I don't feel like. So if we can revisit, if both the husband and the wife could go back to the drawing room, sit on a couch in front of each other and chalk out the goals for life. Why are we here? What is our purpose? Another purpose that we would like to get married is to have children. None of us wants to get married only for the sake of, satisfying, quenching the sexual urge. No, that's not the only reason. Not even do we get married to have our wives, taken to a lot of parties over the weekends. No, that's not another reason that we get married. Basically, we get married only because we would like to have wonderful offsprings. And when we talk about offsprings, children, yes, the list could be never ending. The list could be as big, as humongous as you might imagine, as you might want to imagine. And you might want to say that, yes, my child, I'd like to make my child a doctor or an engineer or the most handsome boy in the family or something like this or something like that. But if we once again could go back to the drawing room and find out what kind of children we want. And if we decide then that I would like my child to be the best Islamic ambassador, then we would look at all these niggles that we have, all these day-to-day problems that we have. These problems would look very, very negligibly small. Because then you would begin to understand that, look, my first aim of this marriage is A, to please Allah Azza wa Jal, B, to seek Jannah, C, to raise, to upbring the children in the most congenial Islamic environment. And if husbands and wives keep fighting with each other, how many chances do you give? What chances do you give that your children would be Islamic? Because that's something that they would witness every now and then. I have a lot of people that come and tell me, since I'm involved in training and also in recruitment, a lot of people talk to me when they open up that I don't really think I'd like to get married. The reason? No, I have seen my parents keep fighting every time. When I go back from my college, when I go back from my school, from my tuition, I see them fighting all the time. And this is when I go home. I don't even know what's happening behind me when I'm not even at home. So why should I get married? What kind of examples are we setting before our children, our own children? Therefore, we must understand, decide the purposes of this life. And also, like I said, let's not take up additional responsibilities. Look, Allah Azza wa Jal, I don't think He's going to look at any couple and say that, oh, since you were the babysitter or the caretaker, or for that matter, to a woman, Allah Azza wa Jal will not say, oh, since you took care of the bread making, bread earning, bread winning, it's okay that you did not really have, wonderful upbringing of your children. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has clearly defined the roles for each one of us. And if we keep interfering in one another's business, encroaching the territories of one another, this is what is going to happen. Allah Azza wa Jalla has created each human being with a different set of goals, with a different set of attitude and personality. And look at what Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had to say. People marry because of four things: limaliha, wali jamaliha, wali hasabiha, wali diniha. These are the four things, four aspects, four facets people choose. People look at, or one of these aspects people look at. Now, I'm sure this hadith is very, very popular. A lot of us, 50 to 70% of us sitting here would know what this hadith means, even before I translate what this hadith is. That people get married based on how rich the person there is. People get married based on how beautiful she is. People get married based on what status she has in the society, from a high society status. And also people get married because of a person's religion. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam instructed us to choose someone who's the most religious of all these classes, of all these facets. Now, like I said, we know the meaning and the outcome and what the instruction is, what the purpose of this hadith is. I don't really want to talk about something like this and waste time. Let us look at the byproduct of this hadith, which perhaps has been ignored very, very conveniently, unfortunately though. The byproduct of this hadith is that if all the men sitting here take a look at this hadith earnestly and say that, look, all of us have to get married. Imagine that none of us is married here. And all of us are looking to get married in the next 6 months. And all of us now start looking for profiles. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam has instructed all of us to marry someone who's the most religious. All the girls, all the ladies will toe the line. However rich a person is, a lady is, however beautiful she is, however nice or the highest kind of society status she has, she knows that for her chances to be enhanced of her getting married, she has to be religious. She will automatically try to be religious, is what I'm trying to say. And if we have various ideologies, various things, no, I'd like to get married because, I would like to have most handsome children. Or I'd like to get married because tomorrow I might, be able to inherit the property she has. If we have these, then Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have instructed us. Would Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam ever think of depriving us of anything that is better for us in the hereafter? Never. That's why Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, choose the one that is religious. As opposed to that, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have easily said, no, get married to someone who's really, really beautiful, or get married to someone who's actually very rich, so that you can spend your time in building, reconstructing Islam. Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have actually said something like this. He never did that. He very clearly, categorically said, no, do this. Choose a woman who's only and only religious. The other things can take a back seat. And that's why I said, if all of us now decide to get married to a religious lady, all the ladies will automatically, invariably be religious, inshallah ta'ala. Because they would know that otherwise my marriage is in danger. I'm never going to be able to get married. So they would understand this idea very clearly. So it is us. It is us that has to decide. That will have to take a call as to who we choose in terms of getting married. And I recited another ayah from Surah An-Nisa. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَبَعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. I recited the ayah, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَبَعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. Now, once again, very unfortunate that the kind of translation we have in general of this particular ayah from Surah An-Nisa is monosyllabic, one-dimensional. That's the kind of translations we have in general. Allah Azza wa Jal says in this particular ayah, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا, if you fear dissent in the marriage, فَبَعْثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا, then send a mediator, an arbitrator from his family and another arbitrator from her family. To seek reconciliation is what Allah Azza wa Jal is saying. And that's the usual, most common translation of this ayah. Now let me translate it slightly differently. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be a mufassir here, not at all. Na'udhu billah, that's not what my intention is. All I'm trying to do is give it a slightly different spin, which of course exists in the very same ayah. Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا. Now, what was the usual translation? If you fear dissent, if you really realize that the marriage is now going to fall apart, send an arbitrator from his family and another from her family. Most usual translation. Now, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ, only if you fear that the marriage is going to fall apart, poke your nose. Otherwise, don't. How different this translation now is. Don't even talk about poke your nose, and don't even talk about otherwise shut your mouth. No, that's not what I'm saying. The translation is, only if you fear that the marriage is now going to fall apart. Only if you fear that if you don't intervene now, they are going to, divorce each other. Only then should you interfere. Otherwise, leave them alone. In most cases, So, most people are able to, I'm sure this is a survey, and I'm sure there is a research and there is a survey conducted on this, and you can ask your heart, you can ask your colleagues, you can ask your parents and whoever else you meet. If the people from outside do not interfere, marriages most often survive. What happens otherwise is that someone approaches me and says, look, my marriage seems to be in trouble and my wife is doing so much, she's doing so many nonsensical things and this and that, can you help me? And now I chip in, and this is a peculiar problem with us Indians. The minute we see that we are invited somewhere to offer a suggestion or a solution, we become the best judge. And then we take, when we go in to resolve, to help reconcile, we go in with the nicest possible intentions. But minutes later, days later, our intentions for some reason change, because Satan always whispers. And then we start taking sides. We take either the side of the husband or the wife. And then we start, advocating from that perspective. And as a result of that, whoever we are siding gets even stronger. He says, look, that person is also with me and you are at fault. Therefore, I'm divorcing you. Only if we don't intervene, allow them to settle their issues. Look, if a person can get married, if a person can, or if two people can get married and start living together, believe me, they can actually resolve their own problems themselves. That's what the ayah actually means here. Only if you fear that the marriage is now in those doldrums, only if you realize that, look, the marriage is now going to fall apart, you're trying to only save that marriage, only then should you enter, should you send an arbitrator from either party. In yurida islaha, Allah Azza wa Jal further says in that same ayah, if they both want to reconcile, yuwaffiqillahu baynahuma, Allah Azza wa Jal would definitely give them, inshallah ta'ala, that. How many of us would like to do that? None. And on the contrary, there is another angle to this ayah. Now, my son has gotten married, not that, I don't have as big a son, but my son has gotten married to a girl of his choice, and now he has problems in his marriage. I'm not stepping in. This is another stupid act that we have amongst us. Our child has perhaps made a biggest mistake of his life by getting married to a particular girl or a particular boy. Now you can't tell them, since you are the one that chose to get married to this particular boy or girl, you decide, you fix your marriage, I'm not intervening, I'm not even coming in between. That's wrong. What are we parents for? Even here we have to chip in, although we very clearly know that the child has gotten married against our will. In order to save this marriage, we will have to interfere. These are some of the things, and there are a lot of other things. There are a lot of other things that I can talk about. But since the time is already up, inshallah ta'ala, the next time I'm here, inshallah ta'ala, I'll talk about what the responsibilities of a husband would be and what the responsibilities of women are. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll talk about that the next time around, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah Azza wa Jal, whoever amongst us has gotten married, help them or help us realize that our purpose of getting married is to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is the sunnah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, not just Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, sunnah of all the messengers. That's what Quran says in Surah Ar-Ra'd. So may Allah Azza wa Jal help us remain married for this lifetime, whoever amongst us has gotten married. And whoever amongst us is not married, may Allah Azza wa Jal help them realize that marriage is actually a wonderful bliss. Marriage is actually a wonderful blessing, I must say. And may Allah Azza wa Jal help them get married and also get them remain married throughout their lives. Ameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi Muhammadin wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah wahdah. Wa salatu wa salamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. Maybe one last thing. What happens in general when a couple is married is that for the first few months or for the first couple of years, they are very happy about each other, about having married to each other. And then each of these parties starts finding faults in the other party. Which means a husband starts finding faults in the wife and the wife starts finding faults in the husband. Only if we could reverse it, inshallah ta'ala, once again our marriages will blossom. Instead of finding faults, in our spouses, if we could find faults in ourselves, and if we could try fixing those faults ourselves, if we could realize that, look, I have this problem with my wife, I have that problem with my wife. Only if we could do that, Allah Azza wa Jal will bless our marriages. Because Allah Azza wa Jal says, Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun. They are your garments and you are their garments. What do we do with our garments, by the way? Sometimes we wear cotton, at other times we wear wool. And when we have picked up a woolen jacket, a pullover, or for that matter a cotton tee, how long do we take it before we throw it away? Do we throw it away in just after a couple of washes? No. Now that we are picking up a lot of sweatshirts, sweaters, we want to retain those sweaters because it's the time of winter. The winter is setting in now. Even if it is one of the most inexpensive kind of sweaters that we've picked up, we would like it to last until the next season. We don't really throw it away like that. Our wives and our husbands, our spouses in other words, are 1,000 times at least, 1,000 times more important to us than these garments that we have. When we wear these garments protect us, not just against the sunlight, not just against the cold temperatures. Also they hide our defects in the body, faults in the body. That's the purpose of getting married. One has to try and shield, one has to try and protect, one has to try and ensure that the fault of my spouse is not known to anyone else. So that's the kind of blessing we must seek from Allah Azza wa Jal. And that could be arrived at only if we start considering our spouses as our garments. May Allah Azza wa Jal grant us that tawfiq, that we start considering our garments, considering our spouses as our garments and start shielding them. Ameen. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله رحمني ورحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.